One extremely important principle as a software engineer to apply in your job is to understand that usually the simpler path, the easier one, is always the better one. First of all, for scaling, it's extremely important to do things simpler, but also to take into account what if later on this thing has to change. It has to be scalable. Yes, true. Like for instance, if we hard code things, or if we don't think that later on we may have a new parameter, a new setting, a new option, a new argument. So it's important to think, like later on, if we have to do it differently, it will take so much time. So let's already prepare it now if it doesn't take more time right now. An approach where it's open for modifications, because we don't want to change it later on again and again, refactoring again and having dirty code base. But now when we use the simple solution, and this is actually not a principle from myself, but it's from the Oken Razor. If I just look here, I took some notes normally. Razor. Oken Razor, so it's a principle, a very famous principle that says that Occam, with an M, Occam Razor, that says that the simpler path is usually the correct one, the right one, is the one that wins over time. And we tend to, we like complexity because of how we were taught at school that something complex sounds smart, and then we need to, it's good to show off, I made this, is so complex, so difficult, and so I'm smart. But the razor, the Occam Razor, says that it demonstrates that the solution, the simpler one, is the winner one in the long term. And it means that for your software, it means that even for your performance review, if you write something so long, your manager will not read it. Less it's better. Less is better. It's the same for the UX of an application. It's the same for the way the app works. Well, don't try to make it longer. Don't try to make it more, verbose and complex and more settings. Less, it's normally the winner option. And when something is so simple to use, users like it to be extremely convenient for the users to use. The same for the onboarding flow. When a user try your platform, your software, if the onboarding flow is complex, is long, it will not be good, and so the conversion rate will be quite low. If you want a high conversion rate, you need to make it as simple as possible. Because if you if you have a lot of tasks, and in your task you are always thinking of how can I make it, how can I simplify everything? I have a lot of files, I have a lot of classes, but I'm sure I can do the same with less code. I'm sure I can make it more concise while keeping the same readability, understanding for other engineers. Of course, we want to maintain a really good code base, a clean code. Even though now we use AI so much, it's still very important to have something readable and self-descriptable. So when your code self-documents what it does, it's even better. But making it shorter, so by trying to see if there's not a better option to do less steps, it's good, always better. It will be faster, it will be more optimized, it will have a smaller build. If we speak about iOS or Android apps, the build size is quite important. And then, of course, like I said, it's important to think about scalability. Later on, new settings, new features, new things that might come up. And if your code is too narrow, too close, it will be hard for your code to accept the new change without a drastic refactoring. So if you don't want a drastic change in your code base, refactoring is good, but refactoring just because your code base is not good, that will just be a waste of time. So making it simple, it's also about thinking, how can I make it like in a way where I don't reuse, I can reuse the same functions and I don't repeat myself, I don't duplicate too much code, because I know that later on, well, it might have new changes. Like if you understand very well the company and what they want, if they want to scale, if they want to be sold, then you will also have a better understanding of where you have to prioritize yourself. And yeah, that's super important for the future. I'm looking at a note I wrote a little while ago. Again, I have a lot of principles on my GitHub, so I suggest you to have a look on my GitHub, github.com/ph-7. So yeah, your code should always be open for extension and closed for modification. I said modification, actually I meant extension. When you plan for like scalability, it's about how I can extend my code, but now I don't want to have modifications inside of my code. And this is from the solid principle. So solid principle, it's something extremely powerful. It's something I really like. I have spent a lot of time previously when I was maintaining a lot of different applications to always use the solid principle. It's a very solid principle, and by applying that principle, you can always think about what to do. Like, how can I, like when you code, basically, if you think, does it meet the solid principle, yes or no, and you have the answer directly. It's a bit like a filter. Now you don't have to apply all of the principles. I would say the two first ones, the S and the O, are the most important one. So the S is for single responsibility and the O is for open principle. So again, open for extension, but closed for modifications. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all. It's just about, don't try to be smarter by making things looking smart. It's always about making it better without impressing. You don't try to impress others. It's not about the ego. It's about making what you do excellent without any complexity. I hope this helps, and I wish you a happy journey in your career.